Ketter at the Cabin presents BOC with Ketter. Fly fishing, stories, connection. Now pour yourself a drink. All right, welcome back to another episode of BOC with Ketter. This is season 2. It is starting to be real summer in Minnesota. I do have a fun guest joining me today to talk about all things fishing. I'll kick it over. He can introduce himself.
What up, everybody? My name is Evan Griggs. I'm the owner of Fishing for All. We're a local fishing education and guide service. So thanks so much for having me on. This is super fun, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking the time to jump on. And I do got to ask you, it is BOC with Ketter, so we got a fun little beverage here tonight.
You know it. Nothing but the finest over here. The champagne of beers. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Living the high life here, baby.
That is the first beer I ever drank. That is the first beer I ever drank. Yep. It holds a special place in my heart.
You know it does. Yep. Me and one of my longtime guides named Ash. This is our go-to beer together. So, shout out to Ash. We're living the high life.
I love it.
So, yeah.
I am matching your vibe a little bit tonight. I went with the Grain Belt Premium, keeping it real Minnesota here.
Super nice. Good.
Yes. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Oh, yeah, that's not bad. Have you ever been down to the brewery down there in New Ulm?
I haven't yet, but
Me neither.
I'm sure it's pretty epic. There's got to be some cool fishing right by there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You could go down and do a little bit of brewery touring and catch some fish at the same time.
So I got to imagine there's probably a sick carp pond. They probably just like all that, barley wastewater or something probably goes into some pond. There's probably some overgrown, super alcoholic carp that are just pissed and hungry and ginormous. That's my...
I never thought of that. Dude, you're probably onto something.
Yep. Anywho, yeah.
we got to make a trip to New Ulm. That's basically where this is going.
Yes, yep. In my heart of hearts, I hope that's what's down there.
That's too good. That's funny. Awesome. So we'll jump right into it, Evan. So how did Fishing for All kind of get started?
For sure. So this has been a lifelong endeavor. I knew really, really early in life that I wanted to have a full-time fishing guide job, lifestyle, career. I was such a bad student that I had whole notebooks full of like the blueprints of the fly shop or fly fishing lodge I wanted. I would go on very early topo maps and look for land on rivers and lakes that I wanted to have and to run these things on. So I've, very lucky to be one-track minded since I was in, late elementary, early middle school.
Unbelievable.
And it wasn't until I was about 5th grade when I started fly fishing. It took me 3 years to catch my first trouts on a fly. That was in Hay Creek, right outside of Red Wing. Shout out. Great place.
It is.
And I remember that little 6-incher like it was yesterday. Brought him home, ate him. My fate was sealed. So after that little dude, I knew, yep, this is 100,000% who Evan Griggs is going to be for the rest of eternity. So fast forward, did the high school thing. I started a fly fishing club at a Minneapolis public high school. It was like unheard of for its day. We had like 30 kids in it. We would go down to the park or one of the lakes and go fishing after school. It was epic. And through that, I met quite a few really awesome mentors. Biggest of all was namely Tom Helgeson. He used to run a fly shop in town and a regional fly fishing magazine. He's passed away a while ago now, but he introduced me to Trout Unlimited and Lou Jewett Fly Fishers and all those cool dudes. So much help and so much support kept coming in. And I remember the day that Tom told me, you could get really good at this and probably get paid for it. I said, wow, that would be interesting. So graduated high school. I drove out to Montana for the first time ever. packed my car 3 days after graduating, drove out to Montana. The first river you hit, obviously, is the Bighorn River in south central there, Montana. I walked up to the fly shop at Cottonwood Campground. There were two old timers behind the desk. And then I said, I want to be a fishing guide. And they just laughed at me. Like, you stupid kid. What the
Yeah,
hell?
go home, go back to
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Yep. But luckily, one of them saw my license plate, and he was like, "Well, where in Minnesota are you from?" I was like, "Minneapolis." He was like, "Oh, what blocks? What neighborhood?" I was like, "Oh, I grew up 51st and Beard." And he was like, "I was 48th and Queen, just a few blocks apart." So they took pity on me. They let me live in the cat-infested camper in the back of the property. I got to work 16-hour days for like $8 an hour and do all the worst grunt jobs, and I loved every single minute of it. Um, and my mentor there was Roger. He was the owner of the place at that time. I think he's since passed away too. But he was one of the original guides in Montana, especially on the Bighorn River. He had been working 30, 40 years on the Bighorn River. So he knew every single trout by first and last and middle name. So I learned from him how to, row a drift boat, back up a trailer, how to tie knots and be a guide in the Montana sense. And I was like, oh yeah, this is epic. I could be a fish bum like this for sure. Fast forward, went to college and yada yada. Finally moved back to Minnesota. I was the head guide at Bob Mitchell's Fly Shop um, over in St. Paul, or was in St. Paul at that time. And I was their head guide for 7 years. And after a certain point, I was kind of handed the reins to their guide service. And I was like, sweet, this is like dream come true. I get to run my own guide service. Um, and at that point, I knew enough that a full-time just fly fishing guide service couldn't really survive in Minnesota. Like
Yeah,
winter just kills us.
yeah.
We only have 4 good months of a year to be guides in Minnesota. So it's fishing for all because we do all types of fishing, spin, ice, whatever you want to do. We go and do it and get people on them. Um, and now that started in 2020. And here we are 6 years later, still cruising, teaching people all the time. I have like 15 guides working for
Wow.
me now. So I went from podunk little Minnesota kid living in a cat infested trailer to now uh, living my 13-year-old's dream. So I'm grateful every day, and yeah, it's been a epic journey for sure.
That is incredible. That is truly inspiring to know what you wanna do at such a young age and then pursue it and go through the steps, the ups, the downs, everything, and then see it come full circle. That's inspiring. That's, incredible.
Absolutely.
'Cause
Yeah, thank you.
it's hard to know, like, what you wanna do in life in general. I think a lot of people, even some people that are, 60, 70 years old, it's like, it's hard to figure that out, but if you can kinda find that, like you kinda mentioned, like, one track, like, "Okay, this is it. I'm staying on this track until I get there," and that's impressive.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's impre I do gotta ask, so you said you had a book, right? So when you were writing that stuff down, do you still have the book?
My mom is one of those types of moms who keeps like
Yeah,
everything.
same.
So I'm sure there's a box somewhere in her basement that is like fifth grade, like,
Yeah.
like, whoa, you know?
You
Look at the
gotta find that.
yeah, exactly. Yep, that would be
Oh.
I was a bad enough student, I would put like, the bubble sheets for the state testings. I would put like
Mm.
smiley faces
Yep.
and random patterns in them. Like I was a terrible
Oh,
school
me too.
student. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, my books and the detail I would put into the blueprints, or like the I would make up lakes and topo lines in the lakes, or bathymetric lines in the lakes and everything. Like those were pristine. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll call my
I bet
mom
they
this
were.
weekend. We'll see what's out there.
You should, you should. Do you still, like, find yourself, like, looking at topo maps, or with everything digital now, do you, go onto those apps, or do you kinda have a good mix?
Those I remember that when I first got my smartphone, and I was like so anti satellite and GPS at that time because GPS would like throw you off a cliff,
Literally.
early
Yes.
on, so it's like, I will never get rid of my gazetteer map book. And I haven't opened that in a few years, but it is still in my car. It's buried under one of the driver seats or somethings, but
That's awesome.
yep,
That's awesome.
yep,
You
but
gotta, yeah, it's gotta be cool for I'm I'm 30 years old. So when I, got into fly fishing, it was like you were pretty much already introduced to, the apps, the trout routes, the Onyx, that stuff was kind of just naturally in my life. But for people that, started long ago, it's gotta be pretty cool to see the progression. Or maybe it's not cool for some people. But it's gotta be at least pretty interesting to see the transition.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we probably all know that old angler who was
Mhm.
like, "Yep, you turn right at the birch tree and you go down to the broken barbed wire fence and yada
Yep.
yada." Like those places still exist. And if you give the right guy a cold beer, he's probably going to tell you where that birch tree is.
Yep.
But
Exactly.
in terms of like getting new people into the sport and stuff, like there's never been a more
Yeah.
accessible or easier time to start fishing. So I think without this technology and the way of the world that it
Mhm.
has gone here, I don't think fishing or a lot of outdoor activities would be a thing without the kind of mapping that we have now for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
but
I would
yeah,
agree with you on that.
that
Yeah, absolutely.
those cool old, urban legend kind of fishing
Yep.
spots, they're still out there.
They are, and if you yeah, like you said, if you approach it the right way and, respectful and just kinda have that personality to talk and wanna know things, people are pretty willing to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So during your journey when you were, in Montana and everything like that, was there a moment where it kinda clicked with you like, "Okay, I can do this, I can have a life with this," or was there a lot of like, "I don't think this is it?"
Sure. Um, there were some of my favorite moments out west. Excuse me. Just thinking back now, like I pretty much subsisted off of frozen burger patties and Fruit Loops. You know, like, just
Yep.
just bachelor padding it out in the Great Plains. Um, I think, at that time of a young person's life, that's perfect, just bare minimum obligations, just the right amount of responsibility, like, you had to wake up early to make the coffee for all the guides, you couldn't make it too strong, otherwise they'd come back and complain they shit their waiters or something, and you
I knew you were gonna say that. Uh,
So,
that's
it was
hilarious.
at that time of my life and development and personal growth, that was amazing. My second season out there, I actually lived in a canvas tent, instead of the cat-infested camper. That was actually a pretty sweet upgrade, just being a little bit closer to, hearing coyotes at night or hearing the thunderstorms roll over the mountains. Yeah, so that was perfect. Could I do that anymore? Probably not. It was a special kind of suck, but it was type 2 fun for sure, but
Yeah, yeah.
um yeah, that will always have a very sweet spot for sure.
Did you always know that you wanted to get back to Minnesota to guide, or did you at one point be like, "Oh, I could stay west"?
You know, living in the West, as we've all heard, like Californians are ruining everything and making everything expensive and yada yada. And in a lot of cases, that's really true. Um, my wife and I moved back to Minnesota for like 6 months, in 2015, yeah, 2015, and then we almost immediately moved back to Missoula, because we were
Mm,
like, we just want to be closer to wild places and doing cool outdoor stuff and better, guiding industry and everything. Um, but we only lasted a year out there, and especially Missoula, cost of living is just crazy, compared to what it is in the Midwest. So more than anything,
mhm.
moving back here was really practical. If I could, I probably would have stayed out west. That's just, that's if you're gonna be a fly fisher, you wanna be out west.
Yeah, you
Um,
do.
and moving back from the mountains or somewhere super epic like that, you do kind of have some FOMO for a while. But having this as my full-time job, my office today is the St. Croix River. It's a 200-mile long national park, an hour from Minneapolis, St. Paul. Um, where any given river out west, you would be in a line of 30 drift boats, and all the guides probably hate each other and are yelling at each other. I'm fortunate, super fortunate. We maybe see one or two other fishing boats ever on the St. Croix when we're out there. We might see some kayakers. I saw my first bear swim across the river just
Yeah,
last week. It was epic.
yeah,
Um,
that is
and
cool.
like that's pretty damn cool to still have that sort of close to civilization, yet pretty close to wilderness type experience. That is kind of harder and harder to get out west now. So I don't regret coming back at all now. I won't lie to you and say, yeah, I was kind of sad to leave, but we got it so good here as anglers. It is really hard to pass up now for sure.
We really do. We really do. The more people I talk to and the more people I have, on this podcast, that is always the number one answer is like we have an incredible, incredible place to fish and whatever kind of fishing that is, it's just it's endless. Like you couldn't do it in a life. You can't even fish just if you even pick just one species, like you couldn't even
Right.
do it in a lifetime. It's just
Right.
incredible.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Yep. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and in terms of our public access too, like there's so many places, and even the land of the free here where you're not allowed to walk on a riverbank.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
both Minnesota, Wisconsin, you still can. So, yeah, in terms of like species diversity, ease of access, you don't have to drive that far to get to really epic stuff here. It's low pressure for the most, especially on our
Mhm.
rivers. It's really low pressure
Yeah.
still. Yeah, so yeah, totally.
The best.
Ditto,
Yeah.
dude.
That's
Ditto,
funny.
bro.
You said it. I was thinking too, and I talked to a lot of people about this too. So, like, yes, as we just mentioned, like insane diversity. Like you could fish crappies one day, you could fish trout. Like it's incredible. I will say it can get a little tough to pick what you wanna do, where it can almost get overwhelming where it's like, "Okay, it's May. Obviously, the driftless is going crazy, bugs are popping off, but I wanna go after some pike. Also, the smallmouth are ripping on the river." It's like, "Where do I go?"
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But that's a blessing. That's not a
It's
curse by any means.
Yep, that's a good problem
There
for
you go. It's a good
sure.
problem to have.
Yep, absolutely.
That's awesome. So you kinda touched base a little bit on this, but where did you come up with the name? How did that kinda inspiration jump in?
Sure. So, fishing for all, I really want to encapsulate kind of what we just touched on here was the absolute a huge amount of fishing diversity that we have here. Driving 2 hours, we can catch migratory rainbow trout, steelhead, and salmon. We can catch muskies on the wave there. We can and smallmouth. Everything that we have here. I also wanted to uh, make it not just fly fishing.
Mhm.
Um, you know, we have Minnesota has in the nation some of the highest numbers of anglers in the entire country, in terms of people buying licenses and stuff. Minnesota's right up there. I think number one is like Texas or something.
Really?
Um, yeah, I don't know. They
Interesting.
don't even have water. What the hell?
I was gonna
Uh,
say, what are they doing?
what are they doing? Let's go. Yeah. Um, I wanted it also to be um, welcoming for all people too. I do not think fishing should be gate kept. I don't think I think everyone is allowed on the water, should be on the water, should know the joys of fishing. My overall mission as a guide is always I've never wanted to be the big rah rah, look how many giant fish I can catch. It's always been, look how cool these people are. Look how much fun we're having. Look how much we've learned. Look at how cool this river is. Or in our case, I do a ton of urban fishing too. Look at how sweet this fishing is in this sewer, you know. Um, so I just wanted to encapsulate the entirety of what we have here as far as fishing in Minnesota.
Incredible, incredible. I love that. Yeah, I would agree. There could be like there could be like that kind of persona around fishing where it's like gatekeeping. That's definitely something that gets brought up a lot. And like, at the end of the day, we're all just looking to get out, have some fun, forget about life's problems, and just be out doing something different. So I think that's awesome that you give people the outlet for that.
Yep, absolutely. I was really lucky as a urban Minneapolis kid to be born into a fishing family. They had me, my mom and dad had me fishing, as soon as I could sit up. My dad and I would go to Hay Creek every single Saturday growing up for, nearly a decade. So before my first trout on a fly, I had caught and kept dozens and dozens and dozens of brown trout out of
Ah,
Hay Creek,
yep.
Um, yeah, and the reality is that sort of connection and that homegrown access to the outdoors is just not happening anymore. And it's having been a part of these conversations with so many, the DNR and so many Pheasants Forever, Trout Unlimited, XYZ. They've been having the same conversation for 2 decades. And it's all, how do we reach these kids? you
Yeah.
know,
Yep. How do we get the next generation fishing, hunting?
that,
Yeah.
yep, that has been the same damn question for 2 decades now, and probably more. Um, and after a certain point, I taught special ed for a number of years too. Um, and after a certain point, you just got to stop talking and you got to go where the people are and you just got to go fishing. Just go fishing with people. You don't have to go far away. You don't have to catch ginormous fish. You just got to show up, be super pumped, and that's going to get more kids or anybody interested and addicted to fishing as any sort of frou-frou experience might be. So that's always been my how I got into it. That's what my mentors always told me to keep sharing with others. So that's exactly what I wake up every day trying to figure out how to do. How can we get more people out there and pumped on fishing? So
Absolutely. Would you say, in your opinion, just kind of going off that question, do you think we are, as a whole, doing a good job of bringing in the next generation? Do you feel that way?
I think what has happened the last probably 10 years is we've done a really good job of helping first timers get into
Yeah.
fishing. There is no shortage of learn how to bobber fish off of a dock program. In our region, there's a little bit of a shortage of how to like learn how to fly fish classes.
Mhm.
Um, but that's kinda where the fishing education industry stops. It's like, "Here's how to cast your button pole, and now go spend $800 on a guide day," you know? "Ha ha, welcome to
Yeah.
fishing."
Yeah. Welcome to it.
You
Good
know?
luck.
Uh so where Fishing for All has stepped in as we've wanted to help those people off of the dock, for a lack of a better term, and build up skills, build up confidence in those skills, show a wider array of species diversity or fishing techniques to get them, confident in themselves. And then if they fall in love with it and they see the value in it, then heck yeah, come pay a bunch of money for a guide day. You earned it. Let's do something special. Let's really teach you something super cool. See a bear swim across a river or something. That's majestic.
It is.
Um, uh, so many programs aren't doing those next steps, and we definitely lose new anglers because of that. We've seen after implementing now our three levels of classes 101, 201, 301. um, we have generated this cohort system of anglers now over the years that have turned into like super fishing buddies. I had a group of anglers that I taught maybe 4 or 5 years ago now, pre-COVID, or right at the start of COVID. We did a like overnight weekend trout class, and they all just met each other for the first time at that camp. And 5 years later, I just got a phone call or pictures from one of them that were like, all the gang's back together and we're down in Preston where we all met. It was like, oh my God, that's so sweet. Like, that's what this should be about. Um,
It's the best part right there. That's gotta be the
Absolutely.
most rewarding feeling. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
So we're, yes, we do guide trips. Yes, we do classes, but at the end of the day, we're here to build a community through fishing.
yes.
And what all of us are looking for, guides, general public, we are all looking for connection. We all want to connect more with the natural world. We all want to connect more with ourselves personally, but we all want to connect with other people too. And in our current society, we've never been more easier to connect with people, but you look at all the stats and we've never been more lonely, miserable,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Yeah.
Um, and the outdoors is like the ultimate medium for bringing people together, making sweet lifelong memories. And that's what we're trying to facilitate for people at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I've probably said this before on the podcast, so I apologize if people are like, "Yeah, he's beating on the drum." But yes, to echo what you just said, like as humans, we all crave being part of something. Like it's naturally ingrained in us. No one wants to not feel like they're part of stuff. So when you can find that community that's something that you can be part of, it's the best feeling. I mean, we all crave that feeling. So yeah, and if it's, the outdoors, that's great. If it's, cooking class, whatever it is, whatever works for someone, it's like, okay, you found your people, you found what, makes you happy every day. And we're all after that as humans.
Absolutely. Yep.
And yeah, that's
Absolutely.
awesome. All right, so I'm gonna pick your guide brain just a little bit. So I'm
Jeez,
gonna
yeah.
put you on the spot here. What makes a great fishing guide, Evan?
Perfect. Yeah. Um, I think a great fishing guide, there are plenty of good fishing guides out there. I feel a great fishing guide is one who truly has the best interest of their clients in mind. You want to have your fishing guide ask you what your goals are for the day. So if you want to get better at casting, if you want to um, learn more about bugs or whatever it is, you should have your guide asking you that question, like first time you talk with them. I also think a great guide is someone who goes out of their way to be helpful and anticipates what their client's going to need. In the guide world, there's a especially new guides, there's a huge misconception that people who hire guides are good at fishing.
Yeah,
And that is not the case at all. Most of your clients, whether you're out west, saltwater, here, wherever, most of them have never touched a fly rod before, probably even a spinning rod before. Uh,
really.
and a lot of people go into fishing guiding world to go fishing every day. And a lot of guides, most people guide for 1 to 3 years and then they'll get burnt out and drop out.
Yeah. Yep.
You'll might get a higher number to year 5. It is very, very rare to find people hitting year 10, 15, 20. This is my 16th season of guiding. Um, so you know, you need to have an ungodly amount of patience. You need to be able to have people communication skills and teaching skills. the ability to teach in multiple ways. You can't, not everyone learns by just like you telling at them, talking at them. Not everyone learns by watching, we have to be adaptable to how people learn. But and just anticipating what people need. This is a service job and a service industry. Um, I've helped people go pee over the side of the boat, and I've helped. You name it, man. I have done it for clients for the most part.
Oh
Uh,
my god, that's
uh,
incredible.
yeah. If you have an old client with mobility issues, you gotta help them. Everybody's got to go.
Everyone's got to
Um,
go.
Yep. So I think a great guide is someone who shows up with more of a teaching mentality and a helping mentality. Um, Someone who can forego ego and be really humble and appreciate the little things. I think if a client walks away with their goals met, they feel cared about, and they feel closer to that resource that they're fishing. Um, I think that's a 10 out of 10 day. That is awesome. Um, for sure. I once had a client tell me a while ago, probably 6, 7 years ago, but they thought they would never fly fish again because they had such a terrible guide experience. This dude, I think it was on Lee's Ferry, there was this dude just like verbally abused them for 8 hours, and they were to the point of like, we don't want to fly fish anymore. We definitely don't want to hire guides anymore. And I heard that, uh, and I just, I wanted to cry. That is for someone who's dedicated their life to doing this, and I hope I do a damn good job, or I try to. Uh, Hearing that just was so heartbreaking. But then after fishing with you, this was amazing. We can't wait to go again. It's like, yes. So I think a lot of guides uh, forget that we're not celebrities. We're not pro baseball players. We are stewards. We are educators, and we're servants to our people in our boats, or on our wade trips or whatever. Or at least that's my philosophy. I'm sure there's many other differing opinions, but that's
That's
and
incredible.
we just had our team training. I have
Yeah,
15 guides working for me.
yeah.
Um, and we harped on that again and again and again and again all weekend.
Herb
Uh,
Brooks.
yes, yep. That's how we guide, and that's what I want Fishing for All's impact to be for our clients for sure.
Absolutely, that's incredible. What came more natural to you when you first started? Was it the people skills or the fishing skills? Or were they just kind of both at the same time for you?
Yeah. I when I started, I had to learn how to be patient, and I had to learn those people skills. I didn't think I was going to make it past year 2 because I would get so frustrated. I was like so many others thinking clients would be good at fishing. Woohoo, Um, and it does get really frustrating saying mend or set a billion times, or undoing tangles a billion times. Yep. And that's just the game. And uh I remember the switch for me, because I hated it my first couple of years. I didn't like the actual guiding part very much. The people part, I loved the fishing, but yeah, the people part, and it switched. Um, when my mentor Roger, everyone called him Rooster, but uh, he said, stop caring about yourself. And and after that, and it still had to figure out a ton, still figuring it out today. But yeah,
Mhm.
that really resonated with me at that time. Like, yeah, it doesn't need to matter if I could make that cast. Our job is to help them make that cast. And if they can't make it until hour 7 of 8, then hell, they hit it in the the last second, and usually those last cast fish are the most memorable ever anyway. So
Yeah. Yes. Agreed, agreed. Those are always fun. Do you find yourself sometimes struggling with just, "Hey, I wanna just go out and Evan fish time?" Do you ever have that, like, "Okay, I gotta obviously run this business, I am responsible for this," but I'm sure you have those moments where it's like, "I could use some Evan water time."
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. You do sort of get to a point in guiding, like we don't get to fish as guides. That's another common misconception. We get to watch people fish. You get to watch most people suck at it, which is fine and it's awesome. Because you can hype up those little wins and hype up those progressions, or you should anyway. Um, I get to fish in the shoulder seasons. I do a ton of ice fishing in the winter. So I don't get to, I'll do some early spring trout or like really early smallmouth now that our season's open year round. Um,
Yeah,
and I'll do some like fall trout or musky stuff when right before season shuts down. And um, I think after it took me probably like 5 or 6 years to kinda numb numb the like, "Ah, I wanna go fish." But yeah, now that I'm older and wiser, I'm okay I'm okay with catching 1 good fish in the start of the year and carrying
okay,
that hype through, and,
great.
I get my joy. I fish through my clients, so if they do something epic, that's a win for all of us in our boats, so
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So you've obviously talked about, taking out a lot of beginners and some people that maybe have never even, touched a fly rod or a spin rod in their life. I'm gonna flip that a little bit. What about like more experienced anglers? Can you pick that up right away and be like, okay, this person, fishes, they know the terminology. Is it kind of harder to guide someone that way, or where does that kind of fall?
it can be. A lot of our experienced anglers, have been fishing in Montana for 25 years, and then you
Hmm.
press a little more and they go once a year, so they've only
Yeah.
fly fished 25 times, Um, it's just pretty common.
Yeah.
Um
I love that.
Yeah. So even, the vast majority of our clients who say they're experienced, you gotta knock them back a few pegs
Yeah.
nicely.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
It is always a treat to get people who know how to cast and know how to fish. I think it's more fun just in general. You can be new or you can be super experienced, but if you're there to like just fish, just have fun and see what bites your line. I had a dude from Virginia who brought out his autistic son.
Hmm.
We floated the upper St. Croix. We got stuck in this horrendous thunderstorm and it rained. I didn't think it came out of nowhere. And ended up raining like 4 or 5 inches on us, and all of us just had the biggest smiles on our faces, and the river, all the spring creeks that go into the Croy were all chugging out stuff. And after the storm, we ended up catching some hog bass, and that was way better than, having a bluebird sky day and, perfect everything. Um, I always appreciate the type 2 days. And, I think a true advanced angler is someone who enjoys those sorts of days too. That's what makes, fishing, so cool. Coming home with a story is the ultimate catch in my book.
Yeah. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, that's yeah, very, very important in the fishing world. And I think about life in general too. It's like, big events. Let's say, you have a wedding coming up or something, and let's say something doesn't go as planned at the wedding. I guarantee you will look back and laugh, and that'll be one of the core memories that you have. It's like, oh yeah, we messed
Totally.
up our vows, we did something silly. Like sometimes those negative things turned out to be some of the most like impactful things. And I think that's very, very crossed over into the fishing world.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely is.
Yeah.
Absolutely is. Yep.
I do gotta interrupt. Our mutual friend Liam just texted me and asked if I wanted to go out and do some mousing tomorrow. So Liam, if you're
Nice.
listening to this, My answer's probably yes, Liam. Probably yes.
That's awesome.
Now back
It-
to the show.
yeah, that dude's unstoppable. He's a
Yeah,
machine, man.
he's doing it out there. That's good.
Yeah,
Awesome. So I do have a fun question for you too.
sure.
So if someone visited Minnesota for this is an impossible question, but if someone visited Minnesota for one fishing trip, where should they start?
Dang, I think the
Yeah.
coolest thing would be uh, like all like an Amazing Race style like day, you know?
Yeah?
You like show up at the airport, go catch a carp by Lake Nokomis and the ponds there, and then boogie to like River Falls, catch a trout, catch a muskie in the Croy or a bass in the Croy. I think that would be the coolest way to experience Minnesota fishing. But if you only wanted one thing, you got to go for smallmouth in Minnesota.
Yeah.
That's just hands down like the coolest fishing in Minnesota. Especially if you get a good top water bite or something. Like, yeah, you're not it's that's gonna be hard to beat, man.
Yeah. That I knew that was the answer. I knew that. That's a great answer, by the way. And I'll say, so I heavy roots driftless trout fishing. Like that's kind of just my entire background. And was it 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I got brought out on my first smallmouth float on the Mississippi, and I was like, A, this is so different. B, yes, this is incredible. I caught a few and had some really nice friends, show me the ropes. And I was very nervous because I was like, this is so different from the world I'm used to. I've never really casted in a boat before.
Yeah,
So that was, entirely different. But yeah, I didn't realize Minnesota was like this smallmouth river, like just mecca. I had no idea.
sure.
And, the more people I talk to and the more guides and the more involved in the community, I'm like, yeah, it's a huge thing here. That's super cool.
Yep. Yep. Very, very cool. And yeah, and the driftless is magical and super sweet.
Yeah, it's its own little world.
You hit it on a good caddis hatch day or something, like that's super cool. But yeah, I think watching a
Yeah.
20-inch smallie slurp a frog fly,
Yeah.
that just sticks with you.
Yeah, that's gonna work. That's gonna be just fine instead of a, 12-inch brown. No hate on a
Yep.
12-inch brown,
Woohoo!
but,
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
yeah, the first smallmouth I caught, I was like it just started digging and digging. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this isn't a 13-inch brown out of a spring
Oh,
fed
that's
creek." Like,
sweet, man.
I have to,
Nice.
like, use some different skills, and I was like, "Yeah, this is fun." And honestly, I feel like after that day, it kinda opened me to not being so intimidated to go after different species, and I started getting more into pike and steelhead recently, so it was kind of one of those, introductions to, like, okay, fly fishing doesn't just have to be driftless trout, like, there's a whole world you can chase fly on the fly, so that was good. That was a good experience.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'm sure you got a few of these too, but is there a client story that still sticks with you today that's just like that first story that comes to your brain?
Yes. Uh, you know, uh, boy, 16 years of them, man. Just 2 years ago, I had my first people get seasick in my drift boat, on a totally flat section of the St. Croix. They got an Airbnb in like Danbury or something. We were on the way upper river going for muskies, and they hit the casino a little too hard the night before, I found out. But
Eesh.
like, they showed up, they weren't super peppy. I'm really peppy and weird
Yeah.
and loud and annoying on the water. Kind of my brand, I guess. Um, but yeah, these guys are just boy, boy, and whatever. Let's go fish. Come on, And like 15 minutes later, the dude in the back is just he's like stone cold quiet, and I'm kind of
No.
watching him over my shoulder. He's like white as a white pale green, like, oh God, what is going on? And then just out of nowhere, just like Yellowstone geyser, just off it's like horizontal off the back of the boat, just
No.
it's awesome. We got a little thrust off of it, and then the dude in the front heard him yakking, and That made him start yakking and was like, "What is going on?" You know, just rowing to shore. What is going on here?
What?
And they were,
Did you
"We're."
yak?
Yeah, no, I did not. I did not. Luckily, I have a kid, so I'm used to bodily functions. But, um, yeah, no, that was a wild one. That one was pretty cool. But yeah, there's so many.
Did they admit, like, after that, like, "Yeah, we
They
had a
did.
few too
They
many,"
did. It
or
was
was it
like,
just
"You guys, that is not, like, normal, you know?
no?
We shouldn't just be doing that." And they were like, "Yeah, we went to the casino and blah." I was like, "Well, that's fine. You could have just
Yeah,
told me, we could
yeah,
have started
coulda just
later or whatever." But,
true, true.
no,
Did you catch fish?
they got it out of their system. We moved several muskies. We played one for a long time. So it was a win. Yeah.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. And then on the flip of that, have you had an experience where you literally, like, were on a guiding trip and seen it, like, click and just kinda change someone's life or just a really special moment? You've kinda touched base on a few of those, but
Sure.
you wanna go in a little more depth on those?
Sure. I will tell you the story of my favorite clients. Their names are Lucy and Stan. And Stan, unfortunately just passed away. He almost made it to his 97th birthday. I fished with him for 7 years. Lucy's still around. She just hit 90 last fall. Both of them are like the sweetest, most loving, caring people on earth. They are mega, mega bird nerds.
Yeah.
But they were like pre Merlin, so they actually like know shit,
Pre-Merlin.
So cool, so cool. But Stan had fished the St. Croix with his dad as early as the 40s. And he would have these just epic stories of old things that were on the river that aren't there anymore. Uh, remember one day we were talking about the old wooden dam. He called it the Wood Dam, which was Nevers Dam, which is, kind of by Wild River State Park, just
Sure.
above Taylor's Falls.
Yep.
Um, and he said, "Is that wood dam there still?" And he was like, "No, they took that out in like the 40s or 50s." And he was like, "Ah, shucks, that was a good spot."
Yeah, it's no longer there.
It's like, sorry, Stan.
That's incredible.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, just tons of, he had stories of using the old car ferries that were wooden carts on metal wires, bringing their dad's old Model A across the river to get to their cabin in Trade River. And yeah, so there's, in 16 years, I'm really, really lucky to only have a very short list of people I would, call assholes or never fish with again. I could count those people on one hand. The vast
Incredible.
majority of people that we take fishing are there for a good time and getting outdoors and making connections. Um, and if you treat people right, you yourself aren't a dick. People usually aren't a dick to you back. So it's a give and take relationship for sure in
It
a boat
is.
for 8 hours.
Yeah, I mean, that's a commitment regardless. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
8 hours with a stranger. It's
It's
yeah,
like it's
you got
like, I've told a lot of prospective guides. I get asked all the time, "Can I guide for you?" And I always ask, "How do you like going on first dates?"
yeah,
That's
yeah,
exactly what a guide day can be like if you don't know your people. You are on an 8-hour-long first date,
yeah,
and the
yeah,
stakes are very high for you. Um,
yeah, I like
yeah.
that, I like that. That's
Yeah,
great advice.
so
Yeah,
if you can
for
handle
anyone who's
that and find that fun, then power to you.
that's incredible. Yeah, that's a great story. I can only imagine the stories you got to hear from your 2 friends there that, I'm sure that was just an incredible to see the history and just the memories probably flowing through their eyes and their brain and just
Right.
watching them process. I'm sure that speaks volumes to anyone really when you can just watch someone go through that, so
Yep,
that's cool.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's gotta make those tough days just so
so
much better
worth
when
it.
you can do
Yep,
that, yeah.
very worth it for sure.
So, we'll go a little more into, the community process and conservation. So, in your opinion, someone who obviously is in Minnesota and a guide and everything, how can all anglers, regardless their skill level, regardless where they're at, how can they make a positive impact in, fishing in general?
Sure. I think it's uh twofold. I think we all see enough litter and trash on the riverbanks or access spots and everything like that, and that's always heartbreaking to see.
It
Um,
is.
I've rescued so many birds and bats and stuff hanging off of hooks and trees and things. Um, so it never hurts to pick up trash. That is one of the easiest things, one of the most powerful like river karma generators that you can do is picking up trash at your fishing spot pre or post fishing, you know. Um, but I think in terms of Fishing for All's mission, like take one person fishing with you, maybe once a month, maybe once a season, but bring someone who's, a little interested in it and just a low pressured couple hours, doesn't have to be an all day, but like have a personal goal to get one person into fishing. Um, and more often than not, that will pay dividends on dividends, and you will have like a fishing partner for life. Just to, we all need connections. If you don't have people in your life, not us as anglers, we obviously know fishing, but so many people don't have the dad or grandpa or whoever to take them fishing anymore. Uh, so we gotta help each other out. It's hard to learn how to fish on YouTube, it really is. You gotta be on the water to do it. So yeah, I would say pick up after yourselves and take one person fishing. That would be totally cool.
That's incredible. Thank you for that answer. I'm gonna personally take that and use that because when you said that, I thought about my life and my journey fly fishing. Like it started like that. I just had a very simple interest in, oh, I kind of want to try fly fishing. And I had a buddy who like, yeah, I can show you how to do this and at least get you out on the water and get you in some good areas. And without that, there's probably no way I'm here right now talking about, fly fishing with people. So
For
like it
sure.
was just that one little interest in that one person to be like, okay, I'll take you out. I'll show you the ropes. And from there it was, it sparked a whole new world for me. So I love that
Excellent.
answer. I'm gonna try to hold myself accountable to that. I like that.
Sweet. Awesome, man.
It's awesome. Very good. I love it. I love it. So, what gives you hope for the future of fishing in general? Just even outside of Minnesota, just what you kind of see in your world.
Yeah. I see as kind of like broy and douchey as it is, like the bass fishing teams at schools
Yeah.
has given such a huge opportunity to otherwise like super weird nerdy like fish kids.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
I had a
Fishing
fishing team
kids.
in school, yeah. Like what are we? We're not sports kids, We're not
We're fish kids.
we're fish kids. Yeah. I think like turning that into something epic for kids to be a part of and like parents too, or adults in general who help take them out. That has created a really cool community to get fishing into a ton of schools, and fishing is everywhere in schools now. A big
Is it
part of
really?
what Fishing for All does in the off season is we actually go all over the state and we visit schools throughout the year. We visit them once a month, sometimes twice a month, and we'll teach fishing science. We'll teach watershed science and fishing skills. We'll take them ice fishing. We take 75 kids ice fishing
I
at
see.
once. It's epic. Uh, uh, but seeing the kids, they are connecting with it, and it is a cool way for connections to be made. Like usually the quiet, weird fish kid in the back gets to be the star for an hour,
Yeah.
and like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know the answer to these things, and that'll chirp up some other kid. I go fishing with my grandpa, and they're now best friends. So that I have so much love for educating and sharing with kids, especially. That's how when I got started as a kid. And like the younger we can get them, the more times we can get them actually out fishing. Like it is proven that they will keep fishing into their older life if they do it regularly when they're young. So that's been really cool from a fishing for all side for me to be hopeful for. Kids still love nature. They still love
They
getting
do.
outside. They just need the opportunity to do it. And we're really lucky here with Fishing for All to be able to do that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I love that. How can like, people that, maybe they're not part of guide service or, they're not part of TU or they're just an angler who wants to have that opportunity to go and teach and help. Is there a space for that? Or how does that kind of look?
Yeah, there are. The easiest way would be through like a Trout Unlimited or something.
Mhm.
Several chapters across the state do, fishing field trips or
Yep.
trout in the classroom program.
Yeah.
And they are like always begging for volunteers. Uh,
Mhm.
the demand is there. The kids want to go fishing, but no one wants to work with kids, or whatever. So, you don't have to be an expert when you're hanging out with a 8-year old or a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna
Yeah.
fish 15 minutes and then they're gonna look at butterflies and it's gonna be
Yeah.
epic. And that is the best part about fishing in general,
Yeah.
Uh, you don't have to be an expert to get someone excited about nature and going fishing. Even as an adult, people just need that first step. So reaching out to some of the local TU chapters or Trout in the Classroom would be my easiest suggestion. Um, Otherwise, if there are more and more schools now that have like fly fishing clubs that a teacher
Yeah.
runs or someone runs in the school, and so you could start in your bubble of wherever you live and just ask. I would go to the principal and say, "Hey, do you guys have a fishing club at your school?" And they may say yes or no, and can I help? And you'll probably have to do some background checks, but
Yeah,
uh,
that's probably a good
yeah,
thing.
there's some hoops you'll have to jump, but,
Yeah.
we everyone needs help, especially with kids and stuff for sure. Um, yeah, but I'd
Awesome,
start
that's
start
great.
with those opportunities for sure. Uh,
Very good, very good. Awesome. I got one more question, and it's okay if you
sure.
get teary-eyed on this question. It's
Mm,
totally okay, but I'm gonna hit you with this. When it's all said and done, what legacy do you hope Fishing for All leaves behind?
damn.
Take
That's a good one, and I think about it a lot, honestly. Um So you probably know Great Waters Fly Fishing Expo. That was started by my mentor Tom Helgeson, who's no longer around. But I've had a booth at Great Waters since I was a sophomore in high school. You know,
Yeah?
yeah. Um, and not many people know of Tom or what he started or the magazine he had or even the fly shop he had.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if my legacy as a guide was if one of my younger predecessors takes over Fishing for All, if they could speak how endearingly and jokingly I remember my first guide mentor Rooster, if I could be the Rooster of the St. Croix, that would
Yeah?
make me just the happiest ever.
Yeah.
Uh, I love when that friend group that sent me pictures of their meetup down in Preston the other week. Uh, when people that met in one of our classes or one of our overnight camps or something reach out and they say, "Hey, we did this. Thank you so much." we we have our own memories now because of that experience. So more than anything, if people told funny stories or funny legends of the rooster of the St. Croix, that would That's all I need, man. Yep.
That's phenomenal, Evan. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, I love that. I mean, yeah, if someone's nickname is Rooster, like he's got to be just like the coolest cat ever. Like, I mean,
He's
let's be
he was
honest here.
something, man. He was an
Like
ornery son
you
of a
earned that
gun.
nickname.
Yes. Yep. You earned it for sure. Yep. Absolutely.
That's awesome. All right, I'll hit you with a couple fun wrap up questions, and
Sure.
we'll kind of send ourselves off through the night. So I ask everyone this: what is your go to fishing snack, river snack? What does that look
Oh,
like for you?
man. That's pretty easy. Cold fried chicken, uh, scientifically proven to have the highest fishing mojo out of any other solid food out there.
So that's like a thing because you're the second guy that's told me that.
No way. Oh man, that's
Yes.
hilarious. Well
Yes.
then see, science, dude. It's proof in the pudding right there. Yeah.
That's bizarre. I did not think you were gonna say that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yep, yep.
Oh my goodness.
You wanna have a good day, you get some cold Cub fried chicken, and it's gonna be a good day. For
Yeah.
sure.
How about quick trip too? Quick trip fried chicken, all right
It's
too? If as long
it's
as you get it the
yeah.
next day.
Yeah, it's gotta be off the cold rack, can't be hot. Yep. It's gotta be cold.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna take you up on that.
Well,
I'm gonna do that.
send me
I
pictures,
love
dude.
fried chicken. Yeah, like
Yes.
it's phenomenal. I mean, I
Yes.
had that at my high school graduation party actually. I
No.
had fried chicken catered in and like I don't know anyone who was doing that. So I was like, yeah, this is cool. I'm different. I'm gonna have some fried chicken.
Hell yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, and it was delicious. All right, last question for you. I think about this a lot and I don't think I have an answer, but if you had to pick one, sunrise or a sunset bite, which one are you taking the rest of your life?
Dang. Some of the best fishing moments of my entire life were fishing at sunset as a kid, at the south beach of Lake Harriet, just chugging a popper along the deep weed edge of the milfoil, fishing into the dark, just tanker largemouth, one time a walleye. I will never forget that walleye. Why did it eat a popper? We'll never know.
That
But
is weird.
yeah, right? I don't know. I've never seen Liam. I think it was Liam, maybe one of my other dudes. We caught a
Uh,
walleye on a whopper plopper at
yeah.
training, and it was super
Yep.
random. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna go uh evening bite for sure. Down
Yeah.
sundown. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree. I do love watching the world wake up though. That is like one of the
Yeah.
most special feelings in the entire world is just like literally watching the world wake up, the birds chirping, the fish rising, the deer moving. Like it is one of the most like just humbling, sets you back feeling. But then at the same time, it's like watching the world go to bed is also super cool.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know if I could pick one. I feel like the evening fishing terms wise, like probably a little better bite in the evening, depending where
Mm,
you are. But
sure.
yeah, they're both special
They're
times.
both epic. Just go
Yeah.
fishing.
Yeah, and middle of the day is also epic, so don't listen to us and think you can only go in the morning and
Exactly.
night. You can fish all dang day.
Just go fish, man. Yeah.
You can go out at -10 degrees, and you can go out at 96 degrees because
Yep.
that's the state we live in, so
That's what it
enjoy it.
is. Yep. Yep. Exactly. Just wait a week. It'll be there.
Just
Yep.
exactly, exactly. Well, Evan, this was an awesome conversation. Is there anything else you wanna shout out or chit chat about today?
Well, just open invite to all the listeners. If you have fished with us, thank you. We hope to see you again soon. If you haven't fished with us, check out Fishing for All. We have a ton of classes for all levels of fishing, all types of fishing. Overnight retreats up here on the St. Croix for bass and muskies. We have guided trips. We have social meetups in the cities starting next month. We have so much. All we want to do is get people fishing. We're down to earth, fun loving, non judgmental. Just come hang out. What's the worst that could happen? But thank you so much for having me. This was awesome, Brandon. And yeah, I hope we can get out on the water soon here.
Yes, yes, we absolutely will. I do wanna thank you for taking the time to, it's chaos right now for people in the fishing world, so I appreciate you carving out an hour to chit chat, and it's very nice to, virtually meet you, and I will meet you in person hopefully soon.
Awesome.